Ever wonder why so many humans, from ancient shamans to modern folk, just love to light things on fire and inhale? What's the deal with that anyway? Did ancient humans just stumble upon it by accident? Was it like, oops, my dinner caught fire and now I feel tingly? Turns out, it's a wilder story than that. When exactly did humanity first start taking a puff? The evidence suggests this smoky habit goes back a long way. Far, far further than you might think. For centuries, most thought Christopher Columbus brought tobacco to the Old World. But that's only half the story, and it ignores millennia of history. The true origins, friends, are rooted deep in the Americas. Our earliest known smokers weren't puffing on Cuban cigars, mind you. No, no, no. Archaeologists have dug up some truly ancient surprises. The earliest direct evidence of humans using tobacco dates back around 300 years. Yeah, over 12,000 years ago. This discovery was made at the Wishbone site in Utah's Great Salt Lake Desert. Ancient folks were busy with their plants. They found charred seeds of wild tobacco, Nicotiana attenuata, right there in a prehistoric hearth. Not just burning it, but likely using it intentionally. This wasn't some accidental bonfire. This was deliberate. So our ancestors were already experimenting with powerful plants way back in the day. But how were they actually smoking it then? Forget fancy pipes. It was probably much simpler, much more direct, and probably pretty harsh. They likely burned the leaves and inhaled the smoke directly, or chewed the leaves for a kick. No fancy apparatus needed to get that nicotine hit. What about actual smoking devices? When did those show up? The earliest evidence for pipes comes from the southeastern United States, dating to roughly 3,000 years ago. Think about that. People were crafting sophisticated smoking tools around 1000 BCE. That's older than the Roman Empire. Way older, in fact. These aren't just simple holes in sticks. These are intentionally designed, often beautiful, artifacts. They meant business with their smoking. Across the Americas, tobacco and other psychoactive plants were central to many indigenous cultures, not just for pleasure, but for profound reasons. These weren't just smoking breaks. These were sacred acts, a way to connect with spirits, to heal, to commune with the natural world. What other plants did they use besides tobacco? Oh honey, it wasn't just tobacco. Many cultures experimented with a whole garden of psychoactive goodness. Coca leaves, for example, were chewed for millennia in the Andes. Not smoked, but definitely a potent plant with a rich cultural history. In Mesoamerica, the Maya and Aztec used tobacco in various forms, as well as plants like Salvia divinorum and morning glory seeds. Serious stuff. They used Nicotiana rustica, a potent wild tobacco, far stronger than the common Nicotiana tabacum asterisk we know today. Talk about a kick. Were there peace pipes like in the movies? Absolutely. Many North American tribes used pipes for diplomacy and treaty making. Sacred objects, not toys. These pipes, often called calumets, were central to rituals, alliances, and sacred ceremonies. Sharing smoke was a powerful symbol of unity. So, smoking was already an ancient tradition in the Americas, long before Europeans showed up. The discovery was really more of an introduction. When Columbus landed in 1492, the Taino people of the Caribbean offered him dried tobacco leaves as a gift. He found them of great value. His crew members, Rodrigo de Jerez and Luis de Torres, were the first Europeans recorded to witness people smoking. They saw folks breathing smoke from their mouths and noses. De Jerez, upon returning to Spain, tried smoking publicly. People were so freaked out by the smoke coming from him, the Inquisition threw him in jail. Can you imagine? Imprisoned for exhaling smoke? They thought he was possessed by the devil. Talk about a culture shock. But despite that initial hiccup, tobacco quickly caught on in Europe. Sailors, explorers, and traders spread it like wildfire across the globe. Jean Nicot, the French ambassador to Portugal, sent tobacco seeds to Catherine de Medici, the Queen of France, in the mid-16th century. He promoted tobacco as a medicinal plant, especially for headaches. That's where we get the word nicotine from. Thanks, Jean! Soon, smoking pipes became fashionable among European elites. It was seen as sophisticated, exotic, and even beneficial for health. Oh, the irony. In England, Sir Walter Raleigh popularized tobacco. Legend says his servant, seeing him smoke for the first time, threw water on him, thinking he was on fire. By the 17th century, tobacco was a major global commodity. Plantations, often relying on enslaved labor, sprung up in the American colonies. The demand for tobacco fueled the transatlantic slave trade. A grim chapter in the history of this plant, indeed. But wait, was smoking only asterisk in the Americas? What about other ancient cultures? Did they have their own smoky rituals? Yes! While tobacco was uniquely American, other psychoactive plants were used for inhalation elsewhere. Cannabis, for instance, has a long global history. Scythian tombs from the 5th century BCE in Siberia reveal evidence of cannabis use. Herodotus wrote about them inhaling smoke from cannabis seeds. So while tobacco took over globally after Columbus, the asterisk act of inhaling smoke from plants for various effects was already a widespread human behavior. Let's zoom back to the Americas. Smoking wasn't just about pipes. There were snuffing tubes, snuff, and even tobacco enemas for ritual purposes. Imagine that. A tobacco enema. Talk about taking your medicine from an unexpected direction. Ancient medicine could be pretty intense. What about cigars? When did those become a thing? The term, cigar, comes from the Spanish, cigarro, believed to be derived from a Mayan word for smoking. Early cigars were basically just rolled tobacco leaves. No fancy wrappers or filters, pure raw tobacco. Phew, that must have been potent. Snuff, powdered tobacco sniffed through the nose, was also hugely popular in Europe in the 17th and 18th centuries. It was the fashionable way to consume tobacco. Kings, queens, and nobles all carried elaborate snuff boxes. It was a sign of status, and way less messy than dropping pipe ash on your velvet. But what about cigarettes? Those skinny, paper-wrapped wonders? They're a relatively recent invention in the grand scheme of smoking history. Cigarettes really took off in the 19th century, especially after the invention of cigarette rolling machines in the 1880s. Mass production, baby. The Crimean War, 1853 to 1856, played a big role too. French and British soldiers picked up the habit from their Ottoman Turkish allies. After the war, soldiers brought the cigarette habit back home, and it exploded in popularity. Easy to carry, easy to light. Perfect for busy modern life. The 20th century, of course, saw the peak of cigarette smoking, heavily promoted by advertising. Everyone smoked. Doctors even endorsed certain brands. Wild. Wait, did people smoke everywhere? What about ancient Egypt? Did pharaohs puff on papyrus? Surprisingly, no. There's no solid evidence of tobacco or other psychoactive smoking in ancient Egypt. Despite some theories, the science just isn't there. The mummy, nicotine, controversy? It's largely debunked. Contamination or misidentification likely explain traces found. No ancient Egyptian smoke breaks, sorry. So while the craving for a mind-altering puff seems deeply ingrained in human history, it definitely had a geographical starting point. The Americas lead the way. From ritualistic communication with spirits to social bonding, smoking was never just a habit. It was a cultural cornerstone. The evolution of smoking, from crude burning leaves to sophisticated pipes, then cigars, snuff, and finally cigarettes, mirrors human ingenuity. Each era, each culture found its own way to interact with these powerful plants. It's a testament to human curiosity, and maybe, just maybe, a craving for escape. What about the health effects? Did ancient people know it was bad for them? Probably not in the way we do, with our fancy science. They used tobacco as medicine, believing it could heal. For some ailments, perhaps it even offered symptomatic relief, masking pain. But long-term health risks? Heart disease? Cancer? Those links weren't understood until relatively recently. Our ancestors were simply trying to survive. So from a utilitarian perspective, using a pain-relieving plant was a positive. They didn't have ibuprofen, folks. Just plants and intuition. The spread of tobacco after the discovery in the Americas fundamentally changed global society, economics, and health. A single plant, massive impact. It became a symbol of colonialism, trade, and ultimately a global public health crisis. Who knew a humble leaf could do all that? Even now, as health awareness grows, the human relationship with smoke persists. Vaping, herbal cigarettes, the desire for that hit remains. It's a powerful testament to the enduring human quest for altered states, for connection, or just for a moment of calm. That hasn't changed in 12,000 years. So the next time you see someone light up, remember this. You're witnessing a tiny echo of an ancient human tradition, going back to the very dawn of time. It's a habit woven deep into our species. A story of discovery, ritual, pleasure, and, eventually, a whole lot of consequences. From desert hearths to royal courts, from sacred ceremonies to factory lines, humans have been finding ways to light up for millennia. It truly puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Our ancestors were experimenting with plant power long before we even knew what power was. And that, my friends, is the smoky truth of when ancient humans first started, getting high, or at least getting a good buzz going. Did you know any of that? Pretty wild, right? Makes you wonder what other ancient secrets are hiding in the dirt, waiting for us to dig them up. What surprised you the most about humanity's oldest smoking habits? Let me know in the comments below. If you loved this deep dive into ancient puffs, don't forget to smash that like button. It really helps us keep digging up these awesome stories. And for more unbelievable tales from history, science, and everything in between, hit subscribe and join our tribe. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching, you magnificent creatures. Stay curious, and I'll catch you next time for another mind-blowing historical journey.